On the morning of my 30th birthday, my parents cleaned out my entire bank account. They expected me to break down, maybe even beg. What they didn't know was that the $2.3 million they took wasn't just money, it was bait. A trap I'd spent years preparing. And when I saw the withdrawal slip with both their signatures, I didn't panic. I actually laughed under my breath. Because in that moment, they confirmed everything I always suspected about them. My name is Evelyn, the daughter who grew up in the shadow of her perfect brother, Lucas. He was the trophy child, the one who got the applause, the expensive gifts, the investments, the attention. I was the afterthought, the one who quietly worked nights, saved every dollar, and built a fortune that no one in my family believed I was capable of earning. I had planned to surprise everyone on my birthday with the life I'd built on my own. Instead, I received a call from the bank that felt like a scene from a movie. "Ma'am," the manager said, "your parents were here this morning with a power of attorney document. They drained your entire balance." I wasn't shocked. Hurt, yes. But surprised? Never. They had crossed lines before. This time, though, I finally had them legally and unmistakably. I went home and found the living room decorated with the saddest-looking birthday party setup. Balloons sagging, a cake that looked store-bought at the last minute, and 3 people pretending they loved me. My mom stepped forward like she was presenting an award. "Sweetheart, we moved your money somewhere safer," she said proudly. "You should thank us." My father added, "You're not good with large amounts. We know how to manage real finances." Behind them, Lucas leaned against the wall with a smirk, acting like he'd won some kind of competition. I didn't argue. I didn't even ask for the money back. They thought my silence meant defeat. It didn't. It meant checkmate. Because every transfer they made, every login they used, every word they said was recorded by me. But what they didn't expect was that I planned to expose them in front of the whole family during the birthday dinner. I thought I knew exactly how the night would go. Until everything shifted the moment I walked into the restaurant. As soon as I stepped in, everyone stopped talking and stared at me like I was the villain of my own birthday. My mother waved dramatically, calling out, "There she is, our birthday girl." Then she added in the most patronizing tone, "Don't be upset about the money, Evelyn. We were protecting you." Protecting me. That was their excuse for stealing $2.3 million. I forced myself to sit down even though my pulse was racing. Inside my bag was my phone, and on that phone was the audio clip of my parents discussing how I was too naive to handle my own wealth and how they'd move it before she does something foolish. That recording was supposed to expose them. But something happened right before I pressed play. Something none of us expected, something that didn't just strengthen my trap, it made it lethal. Just when I thought I was ready to expose everything, something happened that twisted my gut. Lucas stood up, raising his glass like he was the guest of honor instead of the parasite he'd become. He held a sleek envelope as if it contained some kind of grand announcement. Then he tapped his glass loudly. "I think everyone should know," he said smugly. "Evelyn wouldn't have had any of that money without us. We raised her. We deserve our portion." The arrogance nearly pulled a laugh out of me. He opened the envelope with theatrical flair and pulled out a printed screenshot of my bank account. A giant, humiliating $0. The room reacted instantly. My aunt leaned toward another relative but spoke loud enough for the whole place to hear. "This is why you shouldn't trust young women with large sums." My jaw clenched. They were still convinced they knew better than me. Still convinced they had the upper hand. Then my father leaned back, smug and satisfied. "You should be grateful, Evelyn. If we hadn't stepped in, you would have thrown all that money away." That was the moment I slid my phone onto the table, screen facing down. Just the sight of it made my dad frown. "What's that supposed to mean?" he asked. I smiled slightly. "Something you'll want to hear soon." Before I could say another word, my phone vibrated. A message flashed across the screen. A message that should never have existed. "Evelyn, the escrow vault was accessed. Someone attempted to transfer the other funds. Call me immediately." My chest tightened. Someone was trying to grab the rest of my hidden assets. And the worst part? No one, not my parents, not Lucas, not any friend I had, knew that account existed. So who found it? And how? Before I could react, Lucas snatched my phone like it already belonged to him. "What's this?" he demanded. "Another stash you kept from us?" My mother leaned forward. eyes narrowing with hunger. "How much are you hiding, Evelyn?" The entire table went silent. And in that silence something clicked. They weren't surprised. They were interested. Too interested. It was as if they already suspected something. "Give me my phone," I said, my voice low. Lucas hid it behind his back. "Not until you tell us what else you're keeping secret." Their greed snapped something inside me. They had stolen $2.30 million. And still wanted more. I pushed back my chair and stood. All eyes followed me, waiting for me to explode, waiting for a show. "You've all spent your lives calling me irresponsible, talentless, the one who'd never make it. But the truth is..." The door to the restaurant swung open. My stomach dropped. My former business partner, Mark, walked inside like he had every right to be there. He wasn't on the guest list. He didn't even know where I would be tonight. Yet here he was, calm, collected, and wearing a satisfied smile that chilled me. He strode directly toward me and stopped close enough to feel his breath. "We need to talk," he said quietly. My father stepped up, blocking him. "And who exactly are you?" Mark didn't even glance at him. His eyes stayed locked on mine. "I'm the mistake she trusted," he said. "And the one person who can take everything she's built." Gasps rippled across the table. Lucas whispered, "What the hell is he saying?" My throat closed. If Mark was here, that meant he was the one who tried to access the escrow account. He planned to steal everything. He was the real danger. And he wasn't bothering to hide it. He leaned in, murmuring so only I could hear. "You blamed your parents, Evelyn. But I warned you, trust no one. Especially not the people sitting around this table." The meaning behind his words hit like a blade. He wasn't just calling out my parents. There was someone else involved. Someone sitting right there. I turned to look at my family. One face dipped down too fast, unable to hold my gaze. My eyes swept the table, slow and deliberate. Everyone tried to look innocent, but guilt has its own language. And Lucas, he was shaking. His hands were restless, rubbing against each other like he was trying to scrub away a secret that had been burning him alive. Mark saw it too. The moment I saw Mark stare at Lucas with that slow, satisfied grin, my stomach tightened. That smile said everything before he even opened his mouth. "Interesting how your own family sells you out," he murmured. Something inside me cracked. "Lucas," I said quietly, "what did you do?" He shot up from his chair. "Oh, here we go again. Blaming me. Typical Evelyn." His voice was loud, but his shaking hands told the truth. My mother rushed to his side, shielding him like he was still a helpless child. My father glared at me. "Stop accusing your brother. He'd never hurt you." Mark let out a short, amused laugh. "Actually, he already has. Twice." The whole table froze. My lungs felt heavy as he continued. "Evelyn," Mark said, "your escrow vault was first accessed 3 weeks ago." He tapped Lucas's shoulder. "Guess who handed over your old login details?" Lucas's face drained of color. My mom shook her head desperately. "He thought you needed help. He told us you were hiding dangerous things. He didn't want you to spiral." "Help? They stole $2.3 million and dared to call it help?" Lucas clenched his fists. "You don't get it, Evelyn. I deserved part of that money. You weren't even using it. You walk around acting like you're above us." "I earned every cent," I said. "Every late night. Every contract. Every risk. That money was mine." But he kept going, voice cracking. "You never listen. So yes, I gave Mark access. He said you'd never realize it. I didn't even know you had another account." And there it was, jealousy and greed. The two things my family nurtured quietly until they turned poisonous. Mark crossed his arms. "So here's the deal. Transfer the remaining funds to me and I disappear. Refuse and..." He shrugged casually. "Everyone at this table goes down with you." My father slammed his hand on the table. "How dare you threaten us?" Mark didn't even look at him. "You signed documents without reading them. You illegally moved money tied to her business. Once those recordings get out..." He lifted a brow. "Your entire family collapses." My mother gasped. Lucas's legs wobbled. My father sank into his chair like the weight of his own choices finally crushed him. But I wasn't shaking. Inside me, something fierce finally woke up. "You think I'm trapped?" I asked. Mark smirked. Isn't that obvious? I took a small step back, pulled out my phone, and opened a private system only I controlled. Numbers began shifting rapidly across the screen. Mark's expression tightened. What are you doing? I lifted the phone so everyone could see the scrolling transfers. You shouldn't have shown up tonight. His eyes widened. Evelyn, what did you do? The app flashed a final message, cold and merciless. System lockdown complete. Unauthorized assets seized. Mark lunged toward me, but he wasn't fast enough. For a moment, I felt someone grab my arm, and I looked down to see my cousin Emma trembling. Evelyn, please, what's happening? I gave her a calm smile, something I should have done years ago, and tapped the last confirmation. All of my resources, all of my safeguarded accounts, every dollar they tried to steal. Locked. Protected. Mine. Silence took over the room. My parents' confidence shattered. The realization hit them all at once. The money they snatched plus everything they never knew about was fully in my control again. Mark backed away, stunned, speechless. Lucas dropped to his knees, whispering, You had that much this whole time? I nodded. Yes. I always did. I watched regret twist my mother's face, watched the embarrassment settle on my father's shoulders. Every insult they'd thrown at me, every dismissive laugh, every moment they told me I'd never be anything. It all collapsed right in front of them. I stood tall, steady, completely unafraid. You thought you could own me, I said softly. You thought you could manage me. But the truth is, I was the one running this game from the beginning. Mark swallowed, realizing he'd lost everything. My family, who once mocked my quiet determination, finally saw who I really was. Evelyn, the one they underestimated, the one who rose anyway. And in that heavy silence, surrounded by their shock and fear, something washed over me. Pure, unfiltered victory. I walked out of the restaurant with my head high, knowing I left behind the people who never believed in me. I didn't just reclaim my wealth. I claimed my power, my independence, and the satisfaction of watching every single one of them face the consequences of their choices. From that night onward, I wasn't the quiet daughter in the background anymore. I became the force they never thought I could be. And for the first time in my life, I didn't need a single one of them